Todd Mcshay just dropped his mock draft, and I want to talk about it because post-scouting combine, there's a lot of interesting things that kind of happen. As you guys know, the combine is such a big part of the NFL draft, and oftentimes what happens is GMs talk to one another, owners talk to one another, scouts, the Kuipers and McShays pick up the general senses of what teams may end up doing. And at this point, it's very interesting that Todd Mcshay kind of did some of the things he did within his mock draft. First and foremost, Bryce Young goes 1 to the Colts, who are trading up with the Bears, and CJ Stroud ends up going 2 to the Texans. Now, the interesting thing with this is the Texans basically miss out on getting Bryce Young because they won that final game. Think about how much of an impact one small win in a meaningless season could impact over the next 10 to 15 years. Imagine if Bryce Young is a top 5 quarterback and CJ Stroud busts out. Imagine if this is what ends up happening. That's ridiculous, man. It's crazy because you can't tank in the NFL. We all know what happened. But to potentially miss out on one of the best quarterbacks that we may have seen in a long time, it's going to be interesting. But Bryce Young goes 1 to the Colts. Texans get CJ Stroud. And the first non-quarterback is going to go to the Cardinals, and that'll be Will Anderson Jr. This mock's kind of interesting because Jalen Carter, who just had this entire situation happen with him recently, he falls in this mock draft. And the general consensus is people don't really know, what is going to happen. Some people may have Jalen Carter off their board altogether, or at least in the first round. Others may still take him as high as 3 or 4. But Will Anderson is the first non-quarterback at number 3 to the Cardinals. And then you got another projected trade. This time it's the Las Vegas Raiders trading up and getting Anthony Richardson, and this fires me up. I think the Raiders should all go all in and trade up from number 7, trade up to number 4, and get your quarterback. Derek Carr just signed with the Saints. Daniel Jones just got his contract. Geno Smith just got his contract. Lamar Jackson may end up getting traded. For you, if you're a team that has a bunch of different holes, but at the same time you have a lot of upside with some of the players you have, go capitalize on that quarterback. Go bring in Anthony Richardson, and let's see what he can do with this firepower. For the Raiders to trade up to number 4, I love this, man. I think this is the way forward for the Raiders. You're post Derek Carr era. You get your next quarterback in the hopes that he develops and works out. I love that pick by McShay. The Seahawks are going to take Tyree Wilson, which I would absolutely love for the Seahawks. The Seahawks are built this way, right? They're big, they're powerful, they got some big defensive linemen. You're bringing Tyree Wilson, who some people are going to say could be the best defensive end in this class. I love that pick right there. Long, lengthy, big, strong. Tyree Wilson makes a lot of sense, and someone's going to take him in the top 7 and get a really good football player. The Detroit Lions are taking Christian Gonzalez, the number 1 cornerback according to McShay. I love Christian Gonzalez. I actually have recently changed my ranking. Before I had Devon Witherspoon, I flipped that after watching more tape of both guys. Christian Gonzalez is it. I think he's going to be a really good football player. The Lions take him at 6. Then the Bears pick with 7, and they take Peter Skronoski, tackle/guard. And this will be interesting because the Bears do need a right tackle, and they could also look to upgrade the left guard position. So for the Bears, it is kind of interesting at number 7 specifically, especially if Skronoski doesn't work out at right tackle. Like, do you guys take a guard with pick 7? I don't know. That may be a little bit too high. So the Bears do trade back from 1 initially to 4, back to 7. I think this would be a great scenario for the Bears, who don't need a quarterback. And they can still go out and get a lot of different guys at this position. At number 8, we got the first shocking pick. At number 8, we got Nolan Smith, who was being ranked as a prospect, 25 up to 45, right? Generally speaking, late first, early second round guy. Basically get picked in the top 8 by the Falcons. That's crazy. Todd Mcshay does say the following. Here's my biggest riser at the combine. I had Smith up at number 5 in my preseason rankings, but I dropped him quite a bit after a torn pectoral muscle, limited him to 8 games and 3 sacks in 2022. He's back up to number 10 overall, though, at 238. He busted out a 4.39 40, 41.5 inches in the vertical jump, and 10'8" in the broad. The measurements of Nolan Smith are there. His tape definitely backs it up. I just did a film breakdown on my second YouTube channel like 3 or 4 days ago of Smith. The tape doesn't lie. The guy's very, very good. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a top 15 pick. Now, obviously, the question is, does Nolan Smith go before Jalen Carter? Because as you guys know, Carter still has not been picked, right? That's going to be the big question mark, in my opinion. Number 9, the Panthers need a quarterback, and they take Will Levis, who is the number 4 quarterback off the board, which is interesting. Some people have him as number 1, but in Todd Mcshay's class, he is the number 4 quarterback. Kind of interesting. The Panthers do need a quarterback. I think this is the way forward for them. The Eagles take a running back, John Robinson. Great pick for the Eagles. Jalen Hurts is a really good quarterback. Obviously, he's going to give you so much through the air. And you have a great offensive line, but if you can add the Saquon Barkley, Adrian Peterson mold of running backs in Bijan Robinson, I think that's going to benefit this team so much. This team's going to compete for a Super Bowl, so they can go a lot of different directions here. Something does tell me, though, that Howie Roseman is going to end up taking a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman. Maybe not so as much an offensive lineman. Maybe if Peter Skronoski's there, Peter Skronoski goes to the Eagles at 10. Isaac Samala is going to be a free agent this year, as you guys know. Left tackle, left guard, center, right tackle are all locked in, right? They could look to potentially get Lane Johnson's long-term replacement in someone like Paris Johnson, who Mcshay has going 11 to the Titans. I think Paris Johnson's a good fit for the Titans, solely based off of the fact that they move on from Taylor Lewan. They got their right tackle last year in Nicholas Petit-Frere. I think Paris Johnson's a good fit. Personally, I didn't like Paris Johnson a whole lot, but Paris Johnson has climbed the draft boards a little bit for me. I think for this draft specifically, it is kind of weak at the tackle position. Paris Johnson has jumped back up to OT number 2 for me. I think he has everything you look for. He just has to develop his skill on the field. And I think reps and good coaching can get that out of him. All right. Number 12, finally, you got Jalen Carter. Obviously, we're going to see some sort of slide. Mcshay, we'll go ahead and read what he says. Says, I'll start by stressing that Carter's draft range is an unknown right now. He was arrested last week in connection with the crash that killed the Bulldogs teammate. And teams are doing their due diligence as they sort through the situation. Again, I don't see Jalen Carter falling to 12. He's, Jalen Carter is, I don't want to use the word generational, but he is that for defensive tackles. I don't think we've had a defensive tackle prospect the way Jalen Carter is in a long time. Like, I don't even think Quinnen Williams had the same hype that Jalen Carter has today. I don't think any other guy that we've seen for a long time have this type of hype. Jalen Carter is the number 1 overall player in this class. He is better than every quarterback, every defensive lineman, every running back. Jalen Carter is better than all those guys. And I think defensive tackle, the positional value of it has been skyrocketing the past 10 years or so. And to me, Jalen Carter going 12 would be such a steal for the Texans. I'd love this pick if the Texans somehow are able to come away with Jalen Carter and CJ Stroud. That would be an incredible draft, in my opinion. Jets take Broderick Jones. It's a good pick right there for the Jets, who need to protect whoever it is that their quarterback's going to be. Not 100% sure yet, but they got to figure out that offensive line. The Patriots take Quentin Johnston, who actually isn't 6'4", the way we thought. He's actually 6'2". Believe it or not, some people are actually saying that him being 6'2" is better than him being 6'4". Yeah, I get it. You may want a taller wide receiver, but taller wide receivers, generally speaking, in my opinion, have shown to slow down before some of the 6'2", 6'3" wide receivers. Johnston measured in at 6'2", although he's close to being 6'3". I think he has great size, and I think he's in the perfect spot, right? So for the Patriots, I think Johnson makes a good amount of sense. Although he isn't my number 1 wide receiver, I understand why he would be on some people's boards. The Packers take Michael Mayer. Hate pick. I don't think anyone should take a tight end, and I don't think the Packers are stupid enough to take a tight end personally. There's guys right now that you can improve the Packers with. There's receivers, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jordan Addison. And for me, if Jordan Love, which is likely going to be your quarterback next year, you got to get him good weapons. And I know Michael Mayer is a good prospect, but tight ends generally speaking don't pan out. It takes a long time for them to be really, really good football players. I don't like the pick personally. The Commanders come back with Devon Witherspoon, cornerback, number 2 corner taken in this class. The Steelers take the number 3 cornerback, as you guys can see, Emmanuel Forbes. That's going to be interesting. A lot of people think there will be at least 4 to 5 cornerbacks taken in the first round this year. And the crazy part is, you can ask every person, and all of them will have the 5 guys graded differently. Last year, we had a lot of good corners come out. I think about 3 really, really good corners came out last year. This year, we may get another 3 really, really good corners, right? Some guys will bust out. That always happens. But the Commanders take a corner, the Steelers take a corner, and then the Lions followed up by taking a defensive lineman in Lucas Van Ness. Van Ness has the most upside among defensive linemen, in my opinion, in this class. I love this pick for the Lions. You pair up a guy like Van Ness with Aiden Hutchinson, 2 guys that are going to be top 10 at their position in the NFL on rookie contracts. That's going to be a scary sighting, in my opinion. The Buccaneers followed up by taking Joey Porter Jr. Great combine, in my opinion, for Porter. The Buccaneers, great fit, in my opinion. The Seahawks take Myles Murphy with pick 20. I'm glad that Myles Murphy is starting to fall a little bit. I never saw the top 10 hype. I tried watching his tape 3 separate times to try to force myself to love this guy and say he's a top 10 player. I just don't see it. I don't see it. And I know some people are saying his 21 tape is better than his 22 tape. I still don't see the 21 tape because I don't watch. There's people who post highlights of certain guys. There's one video recently that got thousands and thousands of likes, 100,000 plus views. I forgot who posted it. Someone that I follow on Twitter posted it, and the guy took like clips from his 21 tape, multiple different clips, and I don't like doing that. For me, if you're gonna watch a guy, use one game and watch every clip, because consistency is a big part of it. You let me go 100 snaps in the NFL, and I'm sure I can try cross-chopping if I practiced it enough. You can find one clip of it actually working, right? That probably won't happen in the NFL. But my point is you can get a highlight reel of every single player and make it seem like they're good players. But I don't care about the highlight. I care about the tape. And the way to watch tape is just to watch the consistency in a game. And watch 4 different games, but you got to watch it from start to finish. And that way you'll be able to see what this guy does when it's 1st and 10, when it's 3rd and 1, when it's 2nd and 8 versus 2nd and 2. You'll be able to see this guy in different parts. How does he squeeze when a guy pulls? How does he backside chase a play, right? All the little different things. You don't want to just watch the highlighted clips, right? But I don't see the hype with Myles Murphy. I don't even have him as a first-round prospect right now. I think there's at least like 7 defensive ends that are better than him. Maybe I'll be proven wrong on that one, but we'll come back to that one multiple times. In a year from now, we'll come back to this. My rankings. I'll probably do some sort of full breakdown of like where I had guys ranked 1 through 31 or something like that. The Chargers take Jordan Addison. Love the pick for the Chargers. Makes so much sense. They'll be moving off Keenan Allen. According to the rumors, the Ravens take Jackson Smith and Najigba. The Ravens may be looking to move up. There's a chance Lamar Jackson's not going to be with the Ravens based off of what we heard today. But I love the pick of Najigba. He's my number 1 wide receiver. The Vikings take, I believe this is the 4th cornerback coming off the board, in Deonte Banks. Vikings corner makes sense. They got to get that defense to be better, right? The offense hasn't really ever been an issue. It's been that defense. And I shouldn't say the offense has never really been an issue, because I think Kirk Cousins kind of sucks. Let's just be honest. He's not a very good football player. He's good, but he's not worth $40 million good, right? And I think that's kind of holding the Vikings back. Pick 23. I mean, if the Vikings are smart, they cut ties with Kirk Cousins and go draft Hendon Hooker or trade up and get Anthony Richardson, right? Let them build the roster, because Kirk Cousins is not that good. Let's just be honest, right? But they're going to get Deonte Banks in this mock draft. The Jaguars take Darnell Wright, according to Mcshay. Wright is now being mocked as a first-round pick, and I'm glad, because this tape does not lie. Wright is the best tackle in this class. I'll repeat that 1,000 times before the draft comes up at the end of next month. Darnell Wright to the Jags. Love it, especially with Jawan Taylor likely leading in free agency. So, love the pick. The Giants take Zay Flowers, a.k.a. the next Deebo Samuel, in my opinion. The Giants are kind of a weird team, right? They took Wandell Robinson last year. They had Kadarius Toney, never really worked out. They've had guys like Sterling Shepard, and they paid Kenny Golladay all this money, never worked out. And now they're about to get Zay Flowers. And is that going to work out for them? I don't know. But I think they should continue to try with the receivers. They got to get Daniel Jones to help. But Daniel Jones did just get paid $40 million. So he's going to be asked a little bit to carry this team going forward, because you're about to start losing some talented football players. The Cowboys take Dalton Kincaid out of Utah. Love the pick. I should say I love the player. I don't know if I love the pick, because I don't really believe in tight ends going in the first round. The Bills take Keon White. His guy's stock has been rising ridiculously. Some people don't see it. I think he has some upside. Is he a first round player for me? Probably not. But he does have some upside, in my opinion. 27 to the Bills. They take Keon White. Cincinnati Bengals take Anton Harrison, one of my favorite tackles in this class. I was on Harrison, believe it or not, early. Like back in January, before December. Back in December, I watched this guy's tape, and I said this guy and hit the right tackle for Oklahoma, Wayne Morris. I said these two guys are pretty solid football players, but Anton Harrison should be first round pick. And I've been on it for a long time, and he was mocked as a third round pick, and he slowly climbed the rankings, and now he's being mocked as a late first round pick. I think Anton Harrison has a lot of upside. We did get a fake report that came out at the combine that said his arms are super short. It was a typo. But I think this guy's going to be a perfect prospect for a team like the Bengals, who do need to think about replacing both La'el Collins and Jonah Williams, both left tackle and right tackle. What's crazy is La'el Collins just got paid this past year, but his injuries is something he hasn't really recovered fully from. So they may be looking to potentially replace both tackles. So the Bengals take Anton Harrison. Love the pick. The New Orleans Saints, who just got their quarterback in Derek Carr, are going to take Brian Brzee at pick 29. I'm much higher on Brzee, I think, than a lot of people are. I know some people don't like him because they say, well, he doesn't really have a whole lot of pass rush technique. He's not that explosive, but the thing he is he is 6'6". He is 298 pounds, and he is damn strong. And for me, that goes a long way. His 10-yard split, 40-yard dash, all that good stuff was really, really, really solid for a big, powerful 6'6" defensive tackle. I think he's a perfect fit for the Saints, because the Saints utilize these type of players, right? They got these big guys on the defensive line. I do think this is a good fit for the Saints. The Brian Brzee of the world. Then you got the Eagles, who are going to take Calijah Kancey. To me, Calijah Kancey is one of the best defensive players in this class. I don't want to make the statement. I don't want to make a bold statement. I'm going to just do it. I think Calijah Kancey has potential to be better than Jalen Carter. I really, really think Calijah Kancey has that potential. Will he be better? Probably not. I think Jalen Carter is a more well-rounded player, but Calijah Kancey is a better pass rusher than Jalen Carter is, which is ridiculous, right? Absolutely ridiculous. Now, obviously, Kancey has to get stronger, and that's going to be a big part of his game. He has to learn to play with more strength, right? He's not as strong as Jalen Carter, obviously. But I do think Calijah Kancey, not comparing him to Jalen Carter, I think Calijah Kancey could be like one of the 2 or 3 best players out of this class when we look at this class in 5 years. I think his upside's ridiculously good. Wrapping it up, you got the Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl winners, taking Derek Hall, defensive end out of Auburn. I like that pick. Derek Hall had a really good Senior Bowl. He did a lot of really good things. To me, the Chiefs need to look to continue to replace some of those, some of the players that they've paid in the past. Some of the veteran guys, Frank Clark, right, is going to be a free agent. Last year they did take George Karlaftis, and I think this year bringing in another defensive end to kind of make that D-line younger, right? Obviously Chris Jones is still there. I think is the way forward for the Chiefs. I think Todd Mcshay does a pretty good job in his draft this year. I think there's a lot of things that'll kind of continue to happen as we go through the process. I do think that there are guys right now that aren't being projected in the first round that will be projected, right? Last year, Trayvon Walker, super late, right? Like middle of April, just out of nowhere, he's a top 5 pick, right? We didn't get that 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we kind of knew who it was, but this year something tells me Something tells me guys like Tyree Wilson are gonna end up being ranked as like the #1 player in the class. Will Anderson could slip a little bit. Jalen Carter may not even be a top 10 pick, right? So we'll see what ends up happening. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time with another video.